Hey guys, it's Mongolian Mindset today, and me and Thomas are going to be helping Dragos find his personality type. You don't have to go into any like traumas or anything like that. We'll just be asking you things, and from there, we will triangulate down on your best fit type. You're free to do with that, whatever you feel you need. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Dragos. I'm from Romania. I'm a software developer. I've been interested in MBTI for like 5 months. I find your channel. I honestly think it's maybe one of the best on YouTube, maybe even the best on YouTube on this. So I find it pretty interesting. I think MBTI usually and the typology usually offers an interesting perspective on human behavior. So that's why I decided to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the best things about MBTI, and what do you think are some of the worst?
The best thing has to be the fact that it basically makes you understand other people better. So basically, you know what to expect from them. So sometimes you can even have the upper hand in a lot of situations because you know what you can predict their behavior. Based on that, you can understand them better. Also, you can understand yourself better if you have problems with that. Like the worst thing has to be that sometimes it can make you a little bit complacent, or for example, let's say that you have a weakness and you find that your personality type has that type of weakness. It can make, instead of working on that weakness, it can make you kind of accept it and not want to work on that. So I don't know, it clearly has a lot of benefits, but it can have some disadvantages as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree with you, man. There's a lot of people who will say, "Oh, I have this function, so now I'm always gonna be shit at this." Like,
Yeah,
I know my memory's ass, but I tried to like say that my memory's good every time. I don't care. I'm always gonna, even though it's so terrible, I'll still just try and be like, "Oh, I remember this," but sometimes I get exposed. But I try every time, even though I'm supposed to be like SI trickster. But um, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
yeah. So probably, so my goal is to improve my skills regarding software development in order to be more more attractive to different companies and in the industry, generally speaking. So improve my skills regarding my career. So I will probably be a lot better at what I do. Another thing, um, probably I would really want to build or be a part of a bigger social circle of people that I can actually resonate with and connect with. Um, and I think that will happen in the future. Otherwise, I think that I'm working basically with limited information. I think that the world is very unpredictable now. I think that things are changing very fast, so it's very hard for me to predict. I would want to predict more, but I don't think I can.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's pretty usually pretty easy for you to do, or um
Yeah, so usually, um, especially when it comes to like, especially when it comes to other people and how they're going to behave and how they're going to react to what I'm saying, I think it can be pretty easy to predict like their behavior. But when it comes to like global events or stuff like that and trends, I think they're pretty unpredictable. Like who knows what's going to happen? Um, Things are changing, especially nowadays, are changing very rapidly. Like I don't know, with artificial intelligence, all this stuff, I think it's very unpredictable.
yeah, it is growing pretty rapidly. I mean, you know, probably like 2 3 years from now, like just like things like
Yeah,
will just be obsolete, and things like
yeah,
just take its place. It's kind of like a organism. It's kind of weird. It's like everything becomes obsolete and then moves on to the next thing, and then before you know it, like I thought, like when Apple usually makes like a product or something, the next product usually makes the other one obsolete. So you would see like the phones made the MacBooks obsolete. Like everyone uses a phone more. I thought for sure like the Apple Watches would get so advanced that nobody would use a phone. They would just use the Apple Watch. But you know, it's been taking a little bit longer. But I mean, the technology and the watch is getting a lot better. But that's kind of like how I see some of the stuff. It's just like rapidly changes, and some things move super slow. But I don't know. What do you want to be remembered for?
Like, so ideally, I would want to be an expert in a certain field for sure. So I would want people, for example, to look at me and kind of take me as an example for discipline, work ethic, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think that I necessarily found that specific field so far, but that's the idea usually.
Okay. What do you generally struggle with the most?
Yeah, I have to say, maybe living in the present. The thing is, I tend to overanalyze a lot of situations, and I look at other people and they seem to be just living in the present with no regards for analysis. And I think that a lot of the times that gives them the upper hand in a lot of situations, because they are much more present while I'm not necessarily that present. I tend to think about other things.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. Like if I go to like a concert or something, I feel so out of place. Just like so out of place. Like everybody else is like enjoying the moment, and I'm like, yo, this is so odd for me. Unless, like I always say, alcohol is involved. Like if I'm like sober, I don't even like to be there.
Yeah.
But if I'm like drunk, then I can handle it, but I'm still like not enjoying it. Like when you look at other people, they're like enjoying the hell out of it. And you're like, what the fuck? Why don't I feel the same way they feel? So weird. But where do you what does your normal weekend look like?
Sometimes I go out with other people. I go to bars and clubs. I would prefer to do that more, but when I cannot necessarily, sometimes I cannot do that. So when I stay in the house, I tend to play chess. I watch a lot of videos on philosophy, stoicism, stuff like that. Also, I listen to music a lot. Sometimes I'm watching videos about typology, MBTI, stuff like that. Maybe reading books.
You said how long you been playing chess?
So I've been playing for about 4 years. Now my ELO scores is 1600. I actually wanted to reach the 2000 level, 2000 ELO. I think it's extremely hard. Like, it's very competitive. Like chess.com is crazy.
Chess.com is crazy. I was at 1600 7 years ago, and I stopped and I came back, and the kids are so much better than like than I remember. Like I was like, holy shit! And then I started playing and it kept my score the same. Like my shit started dropping quick because I started losing. But it's hard to remember. Like if you don't use it, you lose it, type thing. Like with chess. But I mean, what do you think is the best way to get better faster? I'm like back down to like 1,000.
Watch a lot of videos. So, for example, you have these grandmasters who have these YouTube channels, and they actually give insight into how they're thinking about the moves. Not necessarily, and they also provide a lot of theory, stuff like that, but they explain the exact system in which they're thinking in order to improve. And they're providing that for the audience. And I actually did that, and I got like 400 points. So I was like 1200. And in about 6 months, I got 400 points just by watching that. I felt like there was something missing. Like I can understand the mechanics, but I didn't necessarily have the right type of thinking. So when I started watching these grandmasters, I got good pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to start working back on my pawn structure setups and stuff, because those at the end of the game is, you know, very important. I started playing a lot of puzzles. I do a lot of puzzles. That would like gives you, I mean, pattern recognition at the end game,
Yeah.
things like that. But I love chess because it just, like, you could take little things from chess and incorporate it in your life. Like, when it comes to like predicting and seeing things, or where you want to go, or what is the best move. Like, you can tell yourself, like, you know, you're in a situation like, okay, what's the best move here? So, you know, but normally if you don't really play chess, that might be a little bit harder for people to do. Or you might not even see opportunities where you actually see opportunities. So I absolutely love it. I recommend it to anybody. Thomas, you got anything?
I don't know. Let me think. If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Okay. The first one would be to know exactly what other people are thinking while I'm talking to them. That's the first one. The second one, maybe just to see the future, like to see what's going to happen, or what is most probable to happen. What's the most likely thing to happen, generally speaking. The third one, let me think. I don't know if I don't know the third one, but I have these two, maybe. Yeah.
If you were to like, if you're on a team, what do you think are your best skills?
Yeah. So usually, if I'm actually thinking about the times when I was in a team, I was working on a project. Usually, planning, stuff like that. In regards to how the project is going to be planned out. Also, maybe finding the best strategy when it comes to the approach and time management. I don't know if I would be the leader necessarily, but if I feel like other people are not necessarily able to take the lead, I might do it, because again, if they're not able to do it, I will do it. Somebody has to do it. So yeah, maybe this will be the skills.
Yeah, awesome, man. Those are pretty good. I mean, you kind of hit all of them on that. What do you think are your like weakest attributes to a team?
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes people are not necessarily able they don't have the right discipline, and they're not necessarily able to concentrate on the task. They sometimes need some emotional support. I cannot necessarily offer that. I mean, I find that some people are like they just need that emotional support. They're not able to do their best job unless they're provided with that. I will not be the guy to do that for them. So if they expect that from me, then they're not necessarily going to get that. I think that's it. That's it.
That's hilarious. If you could have one law created and everybody had to like follow it immediately, what would it be?
Yeah, I would probably create a law in which people can only express an opinion if they're informed and if they know what they're talking about. I don't like people just saying just saying random and spreading misinformation, generally speaking. Like I want them to actually know what they're talking about. I don't know. Maybe that is very annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely. I mean, sometimes like you'll run into a lot of people that just want to say something and they don't know the information. Sometimes it's just best to just say, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And here are the fucking sources and good luck going to find the shit, you know. But hey, or like preference, like, hey, you know, I'm not too strong in this, but this is what my guess would be. But yeah, I totally agree with that. What do you think is something most people struggle with?
Usually I find that they struggle with critical thinking. They're not necessarily able to think independently. They just have to constantly request other people's validation. They cannot just come up with their own interpretation of a certain subject. And so because of that, they're also not acting in an independent way. Like all of their decisions are based on what other people expect from them. I think that's it. Yeah.
If you can have any job in the world, no limitations, and you can't be software engineer, what would it be?
I don't know. I just like reviewing stuff. So, for example, I might be a critic or so I like reviewing music or reviewing books, stuff like that. I would probably just, if I can choose to have any job, I would probably have a YouTube channel in which I would make like book reviews or music reviews and just openly express my opinions. Like regardless of how politically incorrect they are or stuff like that. Yeah.
What's your favorite book, man?
Let me think. The thing is, what I usually do is I go on Amazon, I search for a certain subject, and I buy the book and I read it, but I don't necessarily remember the name. Yeah, so I just read a lot of random stuff on philosophy, stuff like that, pragmatism, stoicism, nihilism, but I don't necessarily think that there's a certain book that I can reference. Like, I don't even remember the names a lot of times. I think that the names are very similar. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of remember like the author. Like, let's say if I have a certain author, I'll read all their work. Like Malcolm Gladwell, he has a lot of good books like The Outliers. He goes into that, or Robert Greene. Robert Greene's really good. All his stuff's really good. But then generally, like, I'll read like, you know, stocks, because everybody should know how to like manage their money and stuff like that. Communication is one of the ones that I've been really big on like my entire life, just working on the communication, because that is a very powerful thing. Like, people who are very good at communicating usually get what they want in life. So I've been reading those books, but it's a lot harder than a lot of other things. Like strategy shit is easy for me, but then when it comes to like communication and stuff, it's a lot harder. And then picking up like people's feelings and stuff in the moment, oh God, nightmare. But yeah, what's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Yeah, I remember a friend told me to be a little bit more realistic. Like a lot of the times I'm just I tend to not want to make compromises, and a lot of times not making compromises can actually lead to failure. So he told me to be a little bit more realistic, to make compromises sometimes, and not always wants to, like, my way of thinking is like my way or the highway, stuff like that, and it doesn't work all the time. And so he told me to be a little bit more realistic and to actually drop my standards a little bit lower in some instances.
Heard that a lot. What are your goals for 2024? You're right, it's coming to that year.
Yeah, so just for 2024, just finishing college like successfully, and like probably learning a lot more stuff, skills, like regarding software development for my job, because at the end of the day, like career is one of the most important stuff. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a specific goal necessarily for 2024, but again, in a general sense, I think that's it.
Yeah, you generally set more flexible goals.
Sorry, if I like to set more flexible goals, generally
Like, are
speaking, right?
so you generally set more flexible goals than like?
Yeah, so I basically like to have the general idea of what I'm trying to do, or of a goal, but I just set the exact details as I'm working towards that goal. So I find it pretty hard a lot of the times to set all the details like before I'm starting working on it. I just have a general idea of the goal, and then I might change things here and there.
If money wasn't an issue, like if you didn't have to worry about money, like at all, like how would you live your life? Like what would you do?
I would probably be traveling a lot, just going to different countries and experiencing the culture in every country, to see what would be the ideal country to live in, and just meeting new people. I don't know, having experiences. Like, if money wasn't an issue, I would clearly not have a boring life. Like, I would really want to experience life and do all the stuff that I couldn't do until now. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What do you think holds you back the most?
Sorry?
What do you think holds you back the most?
Okay. Yes, sometimes I feel like I cannot necessarily connect emotionally well to others, so they kind of don't resonate with me, or it's very hard for them to resonate with me on an emotional level. And since I feel like a lot of people are emotional, that kind of leads to them not necessarily helping me later.
Yeah. I find it kind of tough too. I mean, to me, I always feel like it's always easier to connect with people when we have like a shared mission or shared goal. But if you're like talking about just like sitting around and connecting, I just can't do that. Like, but if we're like, okay, we got a mission and this is the mission and we go do it together, then I find it very easy to connect with people. But if it's no mission or anything like that, I can't. It's like, just, I don't know. It's weird. If you could be born in any time period, any place in the world, where would you want to be?
So I wouldn't want to be born in the past. So I actually like being born in this time, maybe in the future, if that makes sense, but not necessarily in the past. Like, I don't reminisce of the past. I'm not necessarily reminiscing, or I'm not nostalgic in that way. And when it comes to the place, I don't know, maybe in a, like, just in a country where with a developed economy, like usually nothing special, just probably in a Western country, stuff like, I don't know. But when it comes to the time, I don't necessarily have a past time. Like, I don't like to be thinking of the past necessarily, or I'm not reminiscing of it, or I'm not nostalgic in that way.
Perfect. Thomas, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think we pretty much know what's what, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There's no point in dragging it out here. Um, Man, one of the best. Well, guess I'll go and go for it. But one of the things that really show who you were pretty easy was when I asked you what was your best skills. You talked about planning, TE, time management, that's TE, and looking at the best overall strategy. That's to be systematic. You're direct, okay. Systematic, TE, FI. Um, Progression, like you said, you set very flexible goals, and then you just work towards it. So that's a more of a progression type of thing. So and you struggle being in the moment, obviously. You like things like philosophy, stoicism, that's one abstract realm. You struggle connecting with people's emotions or whatever. That's because you have FE trickster. That's your lowest one. So yeah, we got you as an INTJ. What did you type yourself as?
INTJ. I expected that, yeah.
I expected that. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty evident there with the the planning, the time management, the strategy. I mean, when you came in, I was like, yeah, he looks like an INTJ. Your setup was very similar to your setup was very similar to Jordan's setup. It's kind of funny. Um, he's one of our moderators, so it's like, oh, this guy's INTJ. You got any questions for us?
Yeah, I kind of want to ask you like this hypothetical question. So let's about the way you type people. Let's say that you have someone, he's saying some things that might be interpreted as like a TE, extroverted thinking, and he's also saying some things that might be interpreted as being an as introverted thinking. How do you type him there? Yeah, how do you reach a conclusion? Yeah.
So generally when you are typing people, you want to go for the overall pattern that you're seeing.
Okay.
So if you are seeing TI and TE, most likely that person might be a TE parent or TI parent. You'll get either one of those two that'll be hitting it a lot. But if you're getting more like syllogisms, if this and that statements, deduction, then they're gonna be primarily TI users. If you're getting some that, but it's not as like you'll get anybody can say a TI statement, but generally if they keep going back to it, they keep like trying to deduce whatever someone's saying, and you're getting like primarily that, and then you'll go with the TI. And also like TI usually has FE attached to it. So are you seeing FE come from them? Because TI is also attached to FE. So sometimes you will see FE come from them. So if you're not seeing no FE, and you're seeing like TE, mostly TE, then you'll generally see some FI attached to them as well. So then you're like, okay, this guy's a TE FI user, because they're on the axis together. So you should see like a little bit of the other axis come in.
Okay.
Maybe Tom. I don't know what Thomas has to say about it.
What's the specific question?
He was asking like
you,
if you see like TI and TE for somebody, like sometimes we see SI and SE from somebody. How do you differentiate?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something you need to remember is that the functions are on an axis. So TI is with FE and FI is with TE. So if somebody's probably more predominantly a TE user, you're also gonna get like FI statements, people talking about like I love this or my favorite this or talking about I value this. You're gonna get a lot more of that. Where we got some of that from you. Like I remember you said like, oh, this is important, or like obviously, and anyone can say anything potentially, but it's just again, like Mercer says, it's picking up on the overall pattern. So, and then with somebody who's an FE user, they're going to meet FE. I guess they're going to talk more about like maybe like what other people value or like other people's feelings, or they're going to be more likely to validate other people's feelings. Yeah, things like that. I'm just like my memory's crap. I'm just trying to think of examples, but yeah, I guess things of that nature though. You have to look at the overall picture. And sometimes it might be hard to pick up on something like maybe you're not sure if they're TI or TE, but you look at all right, what else do we see as far as like what else are we seeing in the pattern? You might not necessarily need to narrow it down that much. Based on the other information, you might be able to just figure out their type without figuring out whether they're TE or TI, you know? So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because like a lot of time, you know, take what you can get and eliminate what you can. Like if you're like, okay, like this person's direct, okay, eliminate that. Because now you've eliminated half of the board for yourself. Now you only work on the other half. Now you're like, okay, this person's direct. Okay, they seem to have flexible goals. Generally going towards that. Okay, this guy's progression. So you're down to 4. Okay, and then you're like, okay, this person's pragmatic. So now you're down to ISTP and INTJ. And then you're like, okay, and from there you kind of, oh, this guy seems to be systematic. Okay, boom, INTJ. Oh, this person seems to be talking about the win-win or people's motives, a lot of things. ISTP.
But or like we had that INFJ girl a few weeks ago, and it's like, you know, off the bat she's direct and she's affiliative. So if direct and affiliative, we're already down to 2 types. We're down to ENFJ and INFJ. So just based on those 2 metrics, we really didn't even have to prove FE or TI. You know, because we were down to 2 types, and at that point, just a matter of determining, you know, outcome versus progression. You know, sometimes it's not always that simple, but sometimes it is. You know.
Yeah, like if you get like a SINE and pragmatic, you're automatically down to NTPs. It can only be ENTP or INTP. So you eliminated like pretty much all types. It's like little tricks like that. But ultimately, you just got to put in a little bit of time. A little bit of time, you'll figure it out pretty well. And just always just subtract. Like you're just eliminating down, like until you can get there. Don't try to look at it as one part, like one piece at one time. It's like, okay, eliminate here. Okay, now that's gone. These are gone. Now there, and then you'll get down to the last one or last 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, man?
No.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure, man. I hope to see you in the community, man. Take it easy, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, brother.
Bye.